you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human Design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. Hi there, Crystal here. I want to share with you a few potential opportunities before we dive into this week's episode. Leah and I have made it our mission to not only bring you energy updates, interesting guests, and education on here, but we also have a few different ways to connect and work with us outside of the podcast. Now, the first opportunity is completely free, and if you have been struggling with understanding your strategy and authority, I highly recommend picking up our free guide on tips and tricks to honoring your strategy and authority. And you can get that in our show notes down below to better help you align to your unique guidance system. Next, if you have been struggling with the key terms in human design, if you don't understand how to read your body graph, Lee and I have come up with graphics and images that provide easy ways to understand the key terms so you can begin to unravel your true self. And that's exactly what this manual is called, your user manual to your true self, to help you speak the language of human design in no time. Our next offer is great if you've been loving our program energy updates because we put together a 2022 yearly forecast through the lens of human design, astrology, and tarot. Super helpful to have a look back on this year and also what's to come and how we can be supported by the energy of what's ahead. Now, our last offer has a few different options, so listen up. We've been telling you for a long time that we were building a subscription service on the 4 transformations, and the wait is over. The doorway is now open to your true self, and you can get for 6 full months every single one of our variables classes. So all of the colors for determination, every single tone for cognition, and all of the colors for environment, view, and motivation. All of these classes were put together with source material from Ra Uruhu, as well as lived experience from people who actually have these aspects in their design. And for a very low price of $39.99 a month, that is well over the value of $600. If you bought all of our bundles, it would be well over that price. And you also get a bonus that is our support group with this subscription service. So you not only get the classes, but you also get a community of people to help you along the way through your deconditioning process that include a community page to post and 2 group Zoom calls a month. If you're just looking for support, you can also get that outside of the doorway, just the support for only $19.99 a month. And if you want one of our classes on the variables, and you're not ready to enter the doorway or our support group, you can pick up your a la carte class on determination, cognition, or environments down below. View and motivation are an exclusive only for the doorway. Now, if you're looking for one-on-one attention and would like to dive into your human design chart, feel free to connect with me on either Instagram or book a reading on my website, which you can find down below in the show notes. Or if you would like a tarot reading from Leah, you can also connect with her on Instagram and also her website down below. We are so excited for everyone to discover their uniqueness, their differentiation, and everything I have mentioned you can find again in the show notes down below. We hope you enjoy this next episode. Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. I'm Crystal.
I'm Leah.
And we're here.
We're here. We made it.
We made it. Oh, wait. The last time you caught us, the full moon had not happened for us yet.
True.
Right?
Yeah, because we recorded before it.
Yeah. So we're here. And I was going to say something really stupid, but I decided that's not. Not that I don't say things that are silly, like pretty much everything that comes out of my mouth. But if you're new here, nice to meet you. We talk about mostly, well, no, who am I kidding? All things weird. Just like literally, if that's all we said to you, I think you would pick everything up as we go through. But we primarily talk about human design, astrology, and tarot. We do weekly program updates like the one you're listening to right now, where we're going to go through the entire energy of the week through human design, astrology, and tarot. And then we do have guest episodes. I've actually already gotten feedback from our guest episode that we just put out. So if you haven't listened to our bonus episode from this last week, definitely worth a listen. I listened to it
So good.
twice.
I know.
I've already gotten good feedback about it. It was just, there was so much just like realness in it, along with like education, like how you could really see how human design is playing out in people's lives. Like, I feel like that's the most interesting part about human design is when you can really be able to witness it.
Yeah.
It's not just theory. Cause I feel like not all people, excuse me for all the people that are not doing this, but I just feel like there's just so much education and not enough integration, and not enough like examples or visuals or like, I don't even know, like you just, it's, I think people are getting better at explaining about how human design has affected their life, or even how we brought on I guess that knew nothing about human design, but they were actually living out their design. So I thought that that would be a really interesting take, like on
Yeah.
how human design really is, because just
Mhm.
because you don't know it does, I mean, there's so many people that are living their design, or at least, or very least, we're all living aspects of our design, right?
Mhm.
But to find someone that's super aligned, like I literally guessed their entire chart before I even saw it. Like
Yeah.
that's, if you can guess someone's, here's the thing. This is just my theory. You can take it or leave it. If you can guess someone's chart before you see their chart, and then you look at the chart and all those things, they're probably in alignment. If you're guessing the conditioning of their chart, like a lot of times I'll guess people's conditioning.
Mhm.
Like I'll guess like a projector that's like an energy projector or whatever. I'll guess them as a generator because
Mhm.
they're operating as a generator. Like
Mhm.
I feel like in those circumstances, um, there's a misalignment. We're always going in and out of alignment too, guys. I don't want anyone to feel like, oh God, I'm fucking like the worst for whatever reason because I'm not like living my
That's
design fully.
that's
Like who,
part of being a human.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Our
always
human
going in and out.
existence.
Right. We're always going in and out.
Mhm.
And I feel like this last full moon for me, like really, because it was really hitting my 10th house. And it really showed me like really misconstrued, old, outdated ways I was operating before with work and work related stuff. And like how important like my family is, and like how just that if I could just always have that be my focus, my family, that the other stuff will fall into place. How about you?
Yeah. I've honestly I probably should have looked and wrote down where mine was.
Oh
I
yeah.
felt a lot of like new things. I felt a lot of body image issues,
Mm.
and I felt a lot of things that came up probably around actually this time last year, because after I injured my shoulder, I couldn't do workouts, and I just went balls to the wall with bags of chips, and I was like not doing a great job with taking care of myself, and I've done a lot better. But then I allowed myself to like look at old pictures of when
Mm.
I was doing things in an incorrect way for my body type anyway. And people,
And you were very, very, very lean.
I
If
was
if
so
I
skinny.
if I can be
I
honest.
have a side by side, and I actually have a thing written up that I was going to share on social media. And then I was like, I can't do this. Like, I just need to let myself work through what I was feeling.
However
So,
you want to, but
y-
know that if you were to decide, not, it does not, you do not have to, and you do
yeah.
not have to do it today or anytime soon. If you don't want to, it could be all of a sudden your authority's like now, and then you do it.
Yeah.
But I will say that I'm sure if you were to share something along those lines, it would be for someone that needed to hear it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I started doing that recently, and like I noticed like a shift in I guess my engagement on Instagram was because I started really tapping into my view. And
Mm-hmm.
so every time when I'm like deciding if I want to share something, I'm like, is this empowering someone?
Yeah.
Is what I'm about, or is it for attention? And
Right.
like, and we had this conversation, I think it
We
was
did.
last week, about
Mm-hmm.
how everyone's fucking trying to get attention. Like
That's what's
if you're on fucking social media, I don't
that's what it
care. You
is.
can come after me if you want. But
Yeah.
if you're on social media and you're gonna post anything, I don't care where or how or what you fucking post, it is for some sort of attention, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's for attention to get more clients, for attention to get more business, attention because you just fucking want someone to just tell you you're awesome. I mean, why can't we just want that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like, why can't we just want people to like us, but not with like a desperation? Like,
Right.
why can't you just want to be liked without
Yeah.
it having to be thirsty?
Yeah.
There's a
And
difference.
and also posting like to help empower people or to help people
Yeah.
know that they're not alone. Like
Mm-hmm.
how many more people are talking about the experiences that they're going through, and then you hear someone else's, you read their post and you're like, that's in my life, but I haven't been
Mm-hmm.
talking about it because I've been too scared to say, oh, like my situation isn't as bad as somebody else's. Like
Right.
I remember saying that all the time, like, well, mine's not as bad as somebody else's story to tell, so I'm just not going to tell it because, they're going through something worse. So my story isn't as bad, or, I don't want people to think that I'm sharing this because I want sympathy for whatever thing that happened. Like, genuinely sharing things to be a human and to show you what it's like to work through stuff that is difficult, because I am really easy at locking up and not talking about anything.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
was talking to my husband this weekend and I was just like cleaning the kitchen. I'm like blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you okay though? I'm like, yep, I just need to clean the kitchen now. Okay, bye. Like, makes no sense. I could talk about it and it feels better when I talk about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm really good at just
Oh, got that
closing.
Taurus moon, Aquarius sun,
Mine
divine head
too.
and ajna, line two. Like everything's just so
Yeah,
internalized for
very
you.
internal.
And I can get that way sometimes when I feel, usually it happens for me when I feel either underappreciated or
Mm-hmm.
disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
Those two, I will go literally radio silent. Like you will, it's
Yeah.
like I just fall off the face of the earth. And that's not the best way to always deal with things. I think it's almost like though I've realized silence really is power, and
Yeah.
that if you go silent, people will notice.
Oh yeah, I always know when something's wrong because I haven't heard from you in like 12 hours. I'm like,
12
shit.
hours.
Something's
2
wrong with
hours.
Crystal. If it's during the day, nighttime, we're whatever we do at night.
Yeah.
But generally, if it's like not until like 4 o'clock the next day, I like pick up my phone. I'm like, do I text her?
I know.
You
I
okay?
like
You all right
if
over there?
because I do I because I am consistent with keeping in touch, but I'm always like some not always. What am I saying? There are days throughout my week that aren't always related to just like me like going through some shit.
Yeah.
It's just like my throat sometimes just wants to not talk to anybody.
Yeah. It's totally acceptable. I understand that.
Yeah. Like if I've had too much talking happening, like we recorded a
Mm-hmm.
podcast and then we did something else and we're like, or whatever, or I have a bunch of clients during on the weekend or whatever. All by the next day, I'm like,
It
please,
doesn't, and
literally, no
it
one
doesn't
talk to
even
me.
have to have a reason either.
Yeah.
Like you
Some
can
days I'm
just
just like, I don't want to talk.
don't want to talk. It's
Yeah.
fine. We get that.
But usually it's because I talk too much probably the day before.
Yeah. Well, like when we recorded the guest podcast,
Oh
like
my
we
God.
got off, we got off, and then you called me, but I was like in I like went into this is my low. I needed to be like off for a second, so I went into the kitchen. It was so dark in there, and I was just like shuffling around. I come back to my phone. You're like, "You okay? Like, where'd you go?" And I was like, "I just needed to like," and I called you back, but when we got to the end of that, I hadn't even talked that much, but
I
my throat
know.
was done. It was crazy.
I said everything for you. I'm like, I feel like I shared like the entirety of human design
You were so excited. You're like, da da da.
on
So many things.
I'm like between the root and the solar plexus and him bridging one of my splits, I was like, I could feel like I could talk forever.
Forever.
So that was crazy. So I know you wanted to talk about your line ones, and I also want to talk about my husband and the the gate 15 of extremes because I have the 515 and he just has the 15. And then I'm also dry kitchen. So I don't like things to be super cold all the time. Like, and of course, like it's like Crystal, you live in North Carolina now. But I'm fine if I have to, if I knowingly know it's cold outside and then I have to like bundle up, I can work it out. I don't like to be outdoors too much during the winter because of that. I've realized after being through 2 winters now. But in my house, especially now, it's freaking spring. Okay. We're almost entering summer. I do not want to be wearing like hoodies and long sleeve shirts and like parkas while I'm just trying to like be in my house.
So
So I
funny.
keep turning the air off, especially at least upstairs because we have 2 air conditionings. So I units. And so I keep turning the upstairs off because I'm primarily upstairs um during the week because Dave works in his office downstairs. So we try to, be separate and not be in his way. And I don't even I turned the air off earlier and I swear it was like 30 minutes. I come back and it's on. I'm like, where did you come from? Like
What is
where I
happening?
think he did it when because he started doing Peloton, which I'm super proud of him for
Yay.
like getting his shit together. Like I love my
Mhm.
husband, but I mean, I know you struggle with similar things where like they just don't take care of themselves. And
Yeah.
actually, he'll never listen to this podcast, so nobody tell my husband this. So he had a high blood pressure situation, and so it kind of woke him up because it
Yeah.
was the first time I'm like that he has a defined spleen. So I feel like his spleen really is able to filter through a lot more shit than like someone that would have an open or undefined spleen. He could get away with a lot more. I feel like the defined spleen can get away with a lot more.
Mhm.
Not always, obviously. There's other circumstances and factors, but um I've noticed that people that have a lot more health related issues, not always, don't come for me, but a lot of open, undefined spleens tend to have more sensitivities in that department because that's where the immune system lives.
Right.
So when you're open and receptive, more potential for shit to come into your system, right? Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, he decided that he's going to start taking his health more seriously. And he's also a fucking Virgo. So I'm like, fucking get your shit together, Virgo. Okay. Your whole fucking dynamic is supposed to be about health, but not, I mean, obviously that's generalized, right? Um, but so he started eating better. He's eating primarily salads because that's the one thing that he said is keeping him on track. And I'm like, do what you need to do to get on track. And he's been doing Peloton a few times a week. And so and I'm sure and like he like man they'll do stuff like that for like a month and then they'll drop like 30 pounds or something and I'm like get the fuck out of here.
Seriously, yeah. Like, oh, I
So
don't know. I was just like walking and eating more cucumbers. You're like, okay, cool. Like, I
I'm
work out
running
six
six
days a week.
miles.
I'm very strict on my things. Yeah. I mean, I
Yes.
guess everybody's body is different, but
Yeah. But men, I get because women, we're like we have to carry the baby, so we do have to
yeah.
have
We
yeah.
also have hormones that are,
Yeah.
fluctuating all the time, every
All
month,
the time.
all the
Hmm.
time. So nothing is ever going to really be consistent with us.
No, the water weight goes up and down depending on
Yeah.
where you're at in your cycle.
Hmm.
So there's so many factors. Body image is like a huge part of my learning this life. I feel like that's so vain. Like I feel like there is though no vessel of loves come for me. Okay. I mean, if you really want to, go ahead. do it. But the vessel of loves, I'm just going to say it. There's a vanity to us. There just is. There has to be. There has to be because the physical body, it's mysterious to me. It's just like, I'm just like, how does this work? Like being human, like I feel like the vessel of love has really come here to learn what it's like to be in a physical body. And so it's like we do have to learn how to nurture this body a little bit more. I think we go through more potential body issues, and especially someone that has also not just vessel of loves, the people that have gate 46, there's an emphasis on the body. But I don't know. We're a little more vain. I admit that I'm vain. I fucking did hair and makeup for 14 years. Like, who the fuck am I kidding? Like, I like looking nice and I like being fit because it makes me feel good. It has nothing to do with anybody else.
Right.
And I think in parts of my life, I felt like I needed to do that for other people to love or like me. But at this point in my life, everything I do is for me, which is very indicative of the 1-3 profile. It's also we're here to be more selfish. I mean, also you two as a 2-4, like if you're so for anyone that's listening, if your conscious line is smaller than your unconscious line, so your personality, like for me, is a number 1, and that's smaller than the third line in my unconscious body, which is a number 3, that means that you're here for personal karma. Now, if it's the opposite, that means that you're here for transpersonal karma. And it's really that you're learning through your relationships. And they're like, you need to have, you're more involved in your relationships because you're learning about yourself through other people. For me and for you, Leah, we could basically like just sit on the couch and like discover parts about ourselves that we didn't even know or need to know or whatever, that has nothing to do with anybody else. I don't know if you feel that way, but that's just
Yeah. Totally. So it's the first number. So your profile, ours
your
is one
excuse
three
me.
two four.
Yes,
No, I
excuse
just
me. The
wanted to like
profile. I didn't even say the
clarify
part. Yes, correct. The
because I
profile.
always get them. You know me. I'm like I know I've done this for however many years, but I still get stuff like kind of
It's okay.
conjobulated in my head.
Sometimes I'll say
So
the wrong thing.
your first number is smaller than your second number for your personal,
Yes,
and then
correct.
the first number is bigger than the second number is
Yeah, like a
transpersonal.
6'2",
6'2",
like my
5'1".
husband. Yeah, 5'1", 6'3", 5'2". My husband's a 6'2", and he's deeply embedded in the relationships that he has, and like he really can only see through himself through other people.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
So interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like it was really challenging for me when I found out that I was a 1-3 and that I was here to be more selfish, because I feel like I was at that point in my life, I was doing the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
There was too much giving to other people and not enough filling up my own cup.
Yeah.
So definitely flip that fucking script.
Yeah.
Still work in progress, because I really want everyone to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
just in the entire world. Like I'm like, how can I make the world happy? I feel like that's also like a vessel of love thing. It's like we're so fucking vain, but at the same time we're like, damn, we're also fucking so connected. Like, don't you guys realize?
We're all connected. So
So
crazy.
I
Well,
don't know.
speaking of profiles,
Yeah.
I have a lot of one-line ones in my life.
You do.
Almost everybody that was in my house today had a line one, and we're all like talking to each other, and I'm somehow I know some information that some of them don't, and so we're like talking. They're like, oh, I saw that, so I tried clicking on that thing, and then I tried clicking over here, and then I go over here. I'm like, oh my god, you guys! Like my husband's really funny. He likes on Facebook, he'll find a person, and he'll be like, oh, that's interesting, and then he'll click on who liked it, and then he'll click on who commented on it,
Oh yeah.
and then he'll click on their profile, and then he'll look at who they're related to, and then he'll talk, he'll go, and it just goes on and on and on, and I just think it's hilarious. I'm like, exactly. We
I'll do
should be doing that too. It's
I do
fine.
that. I I do that
You're like,
many a
oh, that
time.
hit me.
I I'm like, are you talking about me?
Yeah.
I do that many a times.
Mhm.
I actually okay. So today I don't really look at, and I've told you this, I don't look at Facebook too much. I've looked a little bit more recently just because I joined some Facebook groups
Mhm.
in my area so that I could finally meet some fucking people, which actually worked because I was like, is this gonna fucking work? I was like, we're just gonna
Yeah.
fucking just try it all out and we'll see. And if it doesn't, then I'll just leave the group. Um, but it did work out. So because of that, I go in there like every day just to see what people are doing in those groups. But then like, other people on my feed will pop up. And so this one chick that I was friends with, not like super good friends with, and I want to be super vague about this. I doubt any of these people are listening to this, but just in case. Um, so this person popped up and I was friends with them and like what exact it's like it was such a third line thing that where we stopped talking and it really was for no reason. Like with the third line, a lot of times it has nothing to do with anything.
Mhm.
um but she like I swear she's a manifester. Like I want to know so bad. And I'm like, what? I'm like sitting there, I'm like going through her entire feed now because I'm a crazy nut because she just had a birthday the other day. And so I'm like, what year was she born? Uh
How do I find this out?
so I'm
Scrolls
so
back.
I'm like digging through. I'm like, someone say happy 30 something birthday or
Yeah.
something, like somebody say it or like she says it, like it's my 30 something. I'm like, nothing.
Oh
Like
man.
looking through comments and
I love it. I love it.
I never found it because I don't know. I guess she doesn't want anyone to know how old she is. So I'm like, because I
So
knew
funny.
where she was born, because I remembered her telling me. Because anytime anybody
Oh.
tells me this information, it's imprinted in my brain. But for
Mm-hmm.
some reason, I pretty sure she's like 2 years younger than me. Um, but I'm like, is she? Like, I'm like, I could, because it's been a few years. So I'm like, I can't remember. Is it 2 or 3? I was like, that's a kind of important thing to know. So there's no way for me to get accuracy if I don't know
Yeah.
the
Makes a big
year.
difference.
Makes a big difference. So yeah, but I do really, and like actually, I talked to one of our members about this, who's a 5/1 that I also work closely with, and they told me that they love looking in people's comments. I think it's just like a first
Yes.
line thing. Like I live for some, like I send you comments sometimes. Remember, I'll see some crazy ad
Yeah.
and then I'll go looking through the
I was
comments.
like, why are you sending me an ad for this food? Like,
Oh
what is
yeah.
this?
Oh my
You were
God.
like,
That
no,
was the
no, you have
funniest.
to read the comments. It was really
That was
funny.
hilarious. That was one of the
I
best.
want to know if that's actually real though. Like, it
Like,
can't have been real. I
no, but
can't.
it's real. It's real. I'm like, how are you selling food that looks like it came out of your butt? And the comments on it were just
Oh, they
fantastic.
were so good.
I was like, I would shut everything down if I was getting
Yeah.
comments like that because
Yeah.
they were not pleasant, but they were hysterical. Like I would have, if
It
somebody said
was,
something about me like that, I would have to laugh for a split second and then go into immediate tears.
yeah,
Um,
but it was like a meal prep company. It wasn't like a look at my dinner.
yeah,
It
no,
was like, I'll meal prep for you. And it's like,
I don't want you.
it
I don't
looks
know where
like
you're getting that food from. It looks
canned
like,
dog food.
but There were some comments regarding canned dog food that were top
Oh,
notch.
it was bad.
Um, but yeah. So first lines, okay. If there's any first, I know there's a lot of first lines that because
Yeah,
we
you're
have
all listening to
we
this.
have a bunch of first lines in our membership, and then just in general, I know a lot of first lines that follow me on Instagram and a lot of 1-3s. So first lines, tell us if this is true for you. Do
Please.
you please DM us? DM Human Design Astro Club. Okay. Let us know. Do you have an affinity? Do you have an enjoyment, a pleasure, a deep whatever for reading comments? Because it's like a pastime of mine at this point. I I just have to know what's going on. And then like when you get those weird whatever weird posts that you're like, this one's gonna be. There was one actually. So I have a new friend that I do like to go look at her posts sometimes because she just like like reposts some really fucking hilarious shit from other people.
Mhm.
And so she reposted, I don't know if you saw, I don't know if it was on Instagram, but I saw it on Facebook. It was like somebody named their burger after Donald Trump. Did you see that one?
No.
Oh my God. The comments.
Uh, I think those kinds of threads like really light up the line ones too. Like the
Oh yeah.
threads
And this
that
was the
are
one
like,
three that reposted this.
yeah,
So just by the way.
there is a lot of people I feel like I scroll by on TikTok that are like they must have line ones somewhere because they're the ones that have like the green screen and then they laugh about the people's comments because
Yeah.
they're just so like hilarious or snarky or it's just really funny. So I feel like those are the best ones, the best
Yeah.
threads.
So what about, I mean, you're a 2-4. So do you like to read people's comments?
Um, I'm hesitating. I don't really think that I care too
Yeah.
much
Okay.
about it. Like I will read it if someone brings it up to me. Like, if someone's like, "Oh, you have to listen, you have to read these comments," but or if it's somebody that I'm like super interested to
Mm-hmm.
understand what's going on, or if I'm like genuinely concerned because my guilt kicks in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how do I save them?" And
Yeah.
then so
I
like I
need to
scroll through,
comment
I'm
on
like,
this.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." Those are pretty much the only times where that happens. But I'm not like sitting there clicking on everybody's post and reading all the comments and wondering who everyone is.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
It depends.
Yeah, I could get really wrapped up in it, but it's not something that I do regularly, but when I go down
Hmm.
that rabbit hole,
Yeah. I love it when my line ones who have undefined or open heads
oh God, that's even
go on a
worse.
string of questions to me and they're like, "Well, what about this? What about that?" I'm like, "Those are really great questions."
That's what you
I
have
do. I say
started
that to
saying
them.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, "Those are really really
I
great
recognize
questions."
when I'm doing that now. I honestly, I don't think an open head recognizes because I don't think I really did recognize
Mhm.
it's like you have an idea of it, but you don't recognize the like intensity of it
Mhm.
until it's pointed out to you or you have the awareness of. Because now I'll be like, I'll go down like one, like 2 to like 4, like straight up back to back questions, and then I'll be by like the third or fourth. I'm like, okay, Crystal, like you gotta stop. Like, and then
Start.
I literally tell my mind, I'm like, enough. I'm like,
Yeah.
no more. I'm like, we don't
Yeah.
need to know. Like, I think the best thing that an open head and an undefined ajna, especially if you have both, the best thing to say to yourself is, I don't know. Just I don't know. Like when you start asking yourself all these questions, just go, I don't know. And usually when you say I don't know, it actually like lessens the height of it, but takes the
Yeah.
pressure off
Yeah.
with that, the head, because the head's a pressure center. So it'll take the pressure off. And then what I say for my undefined ajna is I know nothing. Because we're not here to hold on to opinions.
Yeah.
And so if I started telling myself, I forget, I feel like some human design person said it when I first started, like an OG human design person. I don't think it was Karen Curry Parker, but it was somebody else. I think it was a man. Anyways, I'm like, Who was that? I don't
Example
know.
one.
I
It's
don't
okay.
know.
I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know
Yep.
who that was.
And it's okay not to know too.
Yeah.
It's just
Because I
like
was going down, I
hard.
was like, hold on, let me go back to the memory bank. I'm like
Mm.
looking through. I'm like, who the fuck cares? None of you really would care if I were to tell you the answer. So whatever. But it really takes the armor down when I
Yeah.
say I know nothing.
Yeah.
Just like it totally like the mind goes, I don't. Like it literally it like it
Oh.
goes, it's like what? And then it's like, oh, I guess
Yeah.
I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't. And then it settles. It really does. So try it. Open heads and undefined ajnas. Say, I don't know. And then say, I know nothing. And just try it and see
Yeah.
if it just like takes the pressure off a little bit, even if it's only a little bit. And the more you like get used to saying that kind of stuff when it comes up, it's almost like you like I look at the mind almost like a dog. Like you have to train it like
Mhm.
in like a way that like you say, you know what, you're not in control, like you can just enjoy it, just enjoy what you're seeing. Why do you have to make sense of it all the time? And then they're like, yeah, I guess I don't. Okay.
Okay.
And then they start to just watch. That's I've just learned to just start watching and not always have to have an answer. If an answer comes, then great. And we've talked about
Yeah.
this before. Most of the time, answers come when you're thinking about something else.
Yeah, exactly. When you let go of that thought or whatever it is that you're looking toward, once you let go of trying to think about it and force it, then it'll come to you eventually.
Right. And right now with, the 4323 that's been in transit, I think what is it in the fourth line at this point? So it's like
Oh, it's moving so slow, but yes. I say that for myself, but I witness it and everybody around me. I'm like, gee whiz.
you're like, I don't want to watch this anymore with you people.
Is this what you see from me all the time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, but it is more amplified and distorted.
Yeah.
Um, so we do have a while to go. But it has been interesting because I do have the 43. So to have that connection, and that's what the 23 says. It says, I know. It says, I know, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And like you do that all the time. You're like, I don't know. And you don't even, and like after
Yeah,
you
I
say you
do.
don't, after you say you don't know, you just like, you don't question. I think when you try to get a 4323 to figure it out, that's where like the chaos comes.
Yeah.
Because you literally don't know. Like it's just
Yeah.
like you know what you know. Like the 4323 is like, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And like
Mm-hmm.
don't try to convince me what I don't know that I know.
That's so funny that you say that because we will have conversations where you're like, well, why did this happen? Well, why did it happen like that? And I'm like, I don't know. And I really don't know, but I want to know, but I know I
Yeah,
don't
but you
know.
don't. So it's
So
like
I could come
you
up,
really can't force it.
yeah, and I could come up with a million things, but they're not the answer. And
And
then I'm
you
like,
know
okay,
that. I never
right.
know
Yeah.
if that was the answer. You know that, nope, that's not really the answer. So let's move on. I'm like, no, but wait. We could
Wait, I
figure
still
this
have
out. Give
17
it.
more questions.
Yeah, let me go through. I got 65 more to go.
uh,
Bear with me. Here
if
we
you
go.
guys could see our text message streams, man.
The majority of me sending 3 words sporadically in like that are like 30 of them in like
Mhm.
less than a minute. All
Mhm.
3 words.
And
And
mine are
like
okay.
but it's like I go through this like burst. Like
Yeah.
and my hands type really fast. I have my you're like, yeah, I know. I don't like voice messaging because I actually get the point way more across through typing because I have tonal resonance is touch. And my moon is in my third house. So the house of communication. So
Hmm.
I just, everything is very handsy with me. Even my husband's like, why do you always need to use your hands? Like, I feel like I'm like Donald Trump, like on the podium where he's like, all right, we're going here, here, here. And then he does like these like weird, I just totally scratched myself in the face while doing
Oh.
that.
When I think I was scrolling through a video one time, I was editing our video and it was just like hands, hands. I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
very
I
handsy.
put mine here, but some people, I mean, you just talk with your hands. There's a lot of people
I
that talk with
do.
their hands.
I'm also half Italian.
That also is helpful.
That people say that that's like an Italian thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
It
I
helps
say,
accentuate what you're saying.
yeah, I'm like, whatever. Anyways, I feel like we've talked a lot at this
Yeah.
point.
Let's get
So
into it.
let's, excuse me, let's get into it. Let's talk about what's happening this week. It's a little calmer week, obviously, from with all the eclipses that we just had. We're in between before the next cycle. So let's see what we have. So we're kicking off this week. Monday is a lot of promise. There's a lot of promise happening on Monday, a lot of potential. There's a focus on truth and awareness that can be very empowering for many. That started at the end of this last week. So this might be a great time to speak up and express your voice. Speak from where you are right now. Like it's really about the focus is really about what's happening right now in the present moment. This is about self-conscious awareness in the now. For the next few days, as we still have this energy, focus or pay attention on where you are at in your life. Is there a way for you to transform your understanding into right action? I'm going to repeat that. Is there a way for you to transform your understanding into right action? Because we'll be being grounded in our power. And this is connected. It's really nice. There's a nice synergy with what's happening in the transits right now because the focus and the sun and the earth are actually connected to each other. So we're being grounded in our power, and there's a synergy happening between our focus and how we can ground and materialize this energy into the 3D world. So this is all about power of the individual. A question to ask yourself might be, how can your internal power, your strength, your wisdom serve the common good? Because we're going to have to start getting it together. We just really are. So let's use some of this powerhouse energy that we have running through the transits right now to serve the common good. You might be able to bear your fruits from your labor this week, from what happened with the last two eclipses. Some things might reveal themselves during this week. So I would just pay attention to what happens after Tuesday, because on Tuesday, I'm actually very excited for this because my moon is in Aries. And I know that when Aries keeps going into more signs and more planets, excuse me, that there's more potential for movement, especially because things are going to start retrograding, right? So on Tuesday, Mars enters Aries in its home sign. So allowing for more drive and ambition to get things done. Kind of a big deal because this is a place where a lot of action can take place, and Mars is comfortable in Aries. So there's a potential for a lot of great movement. Mars is going to go retrograde a little bit later in the year. So just be prepared for that, because between now and that time, I believe it's October. I think it's October. Do not quote me on that, anybody. Nobody come for me if I just told you the wrong thing. I'm pretty sure it's October, but go look it up. It is going retrograde this year, so just take a look at what it is. If you have our energy forecast, I believe I said it on there. So just go ahead and listen to that. And so this is about taking advantage of what's happening for the next few months before everything starts. Well, things start going retrograde in the summer. Like that's usually, we need a little breather. I mean, we have Mercury retrograde right now, and I think Pluto. So it's like there's always there has to be a little resistance to also move. Like there has to be a little friction to be able to like see there. You need to be able to see contrast. Not everything can just move so fluid, right? But I will say, the more things that go, more planets that enter into Aries, there's more opportunity, especially with Mars. So I think this is going to be a big move for us on Tuesday with Aries entering Mars. So our communication at the beginning of the week is on contribution to the collective. How can you communicate what you know and what you can do to move society forward? Because there will be a big push forward in time. We are just at the very beginning of a big transformation as we head towards 2027. So we're not over. We're not done. We're not done with everything happening. 2022 was actually a little break period. So things are going to start being picked up a notch sooner than later. So just, you know, I I really would urge people, like I know you guys are listening to the transits and everything, but I would just urge you to like, I'm not urging you, I'm inviting you. Excuse me. Let me be a little bit better with my words here. I'm inviting you to just casually, if you feel, or not casually, if your first line, you're like, I look at the transits throughout my entire day. If that's you, great. Ask yourself when things were sliding in and out of different places, how are you actually feeling? And like, can you see patterns? Because that's what transits actually help you do. They help you spot patterns that are going on in the collective and then what are happening with you individually. So Wednesday, there will be a sacral pressure from the root to the sacral that will be going on for a little bit. So pushing us to work through any roadblocks. This could pertain directly to relationships or money with this possibility here. So we also have a shock to the heart also happening on this day, which is pushing us to reach new heights. So there's a lot of potential chance for movement. And yeah, so just I'd pay attention to what happens for you on Wednesday or even maybe the day later, a few days later, because what I've witnessed with the transits is that when gates and channels and centers are in the transits and defined, I usually don't see the understanding of it or what it's here to bring until it leaves. Like the next day, a few days or a week or so, you'll start to see, oh wait, that's what happened. But you can recognize almost like patterns that happen while they're in it, or what like also like what the collective is working on. You can really see with the transits. So just start observing. If you can't make sense of it, don't pressure yourself to. Just see if you can see the patterns, because there's a lot of patterns that are happening in the transits. So later in the day on Thursday or potentially Friday, depending on where you are in in this world, we'll gain a new focus. So this will be centered around our expression of our skill set. For all open and undefined throats, I would get comfortable this week with saying, I experiment. Instead of trying to find the perfect way you express yourself, just simply look this week at what you are good at. What new skills have you acquired? And can you express them this week in a way that can reach success, satisfaction, peace, or surprise? We are being grounded during this next program in detail. What are you determined to succeed during this week? Where do you need to place your attention this week to hone those skills? Okay, like that's going to be a big thing. It's like almost like I would say towards the end of this week, rolling into the next, like, what are you like? What's coming into your peripheral? What's coming into your focus that you feel almost like your authority like gets turned on and says, like, you know what? I want to focus on this. Or do you see stuff? Do you see details in your everyday life? Just like watch for like those little things that you don't normally pay attention to. I think some things might show up during this period of time. So there's a lot of opportunity to experiment this week and almost reach another level of consciousness and awareness. So we have the ajna, the throat, the G center, the heart, and the sacral and the root, all defined throughout the week. Not all at the same time, but they're going to be coming in and out. I mean, obviously the throat and the ajna are 100% defined. Like we can't get out of that. Okay. But just be aware. And if you have these places normally open or undefined, I would just at least glance through the week and see when they will be defined for you. so that you can see how is this showing up when it's defined for me and what does it look like once it leaves. Because that's when you're really, because everything's going from the 1 to the 6 line through each planet. Okay. Other than if you're in the north and the south node, they actually go backwards. I don't know if anyone has noticed that or knew that or learned that, but the nodes actually start out on the roof. Not to confuse you, we're going to do a whole class on transits at some point. So if you're like, what are you talking about? Put it down. You don't, then you know what? Just listen to what I'm saying throughout the week and just, Leah's laughing because she's like, I tried to do all this stuff. Just listen to what I'm saying on how things are playing out throughout the days of the week. And then what I would do is just maybe jot down some notes and then look at the transits for each day and see if you can recognize the patterns. You recognize, oh, okay, so this is this gate or this channel's in this planet, or it's connected here, or this center's lit up. I don't actually normally have that center lit up. What does that feel like in my body when this is happening? And just ask yourself questions. All of this is here to like almost be like of service to us to have this wisdom, I feel like, so we can utilize it. So that's what we have going on this week. And we'll see what the cards have to say.
Yeah, I'm excited for this week with all of those different things being lit up. Um, that was something that I did for a while to learn the transits. Besides us like doing this, I definitely was like, how do I learn the transits? And it was mostly through me like looking at them every single day and understanding like where the gate was that was like popping up, or what was at least in like the big three, the top three, like the sun, the earth, the moon, and wondering, okay, how is this reflecting at the end of the day? What does it look like? Did it do anything? What do I feel like? I think that was really helpful.
Yeah, especially because like the moon's moving through so fast that it's
Right.
like if you're not paying attention to that period of time that it's in there, especially when it goes, a gate goes into the moon and then it connects to another gate
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else and then it creates a full channel just for that brief moment. Like those times when an emotional channel will be created through the moon, I usually am like, what
Yeah.
the fuck am I feeling right now?
It really
And then
does.
I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay. That's what's happening. And it's just nice. It's
Exactly.
for me, it's just nice to have the awareness and also like the prep for it. I'm telling you guys, half the time I forget what I tell you guys. I don't even remember. I'll have like a vague idea, but I never honestly even know what day it is. I just don't. You're probably like, why are you doing this then? Um, because I know that it's there somewhere. I also have like right environment. So, and like I'm open head and ajna, so nothing gets stuck there too well.
Yeah.
Um, except for my like left brain, like all the human design stuff, just like
It's
information and education
trapped.
just gets like stored there. But like stuff that's temporary, because transits are temporary, right? If it's
Hmm.
temporary, I don't usually hold on to it too well.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll just have it kind of like sitting there and then I'll feel something and then I'll go and look at the transits and I'll be like, oh, right, that's right. This was
Yeah.
what was supposed to happen. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. That's what I like to do too. It just is like I'm like, what the heck? And then you look and you're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. Why? And then not like attaching yourself to it and just be like, okay, like just let it flow through, like let that energy pass. Okay. Oh, interesting. So I got the moon. Um, Actually, I forgot to show you guys over here on the YouTubes. So the moon has the two animals looking up at the sun. It's not even the sun, it's the moon. I just don't know what I'm talking about. And then on the bottom down here, actually, they're crayfish. And in some of the other cards, they have different creatures here. But the moon is all about illusion. And it's all about what are you looking for? What are you trying to like, is there a relationship or is there some sort of situation that's happening that it has like this veil over it. Like there's some sort of illusion here. Like when you are out at night and you're seeing stuff under the moonlight, you don't really see the full picture. You don't see what you like our human eyes. Obviously, we can't see well at night. So we don't have the ability to see past the shadows, past whatever it is that's in front of that situation or in front of that relationship or person or even limiting belief that you have about yourself or something. So I think a good question for this would be like, what am I allowing to get by? Am I being, I don't know, like tricked? Do I feel like there's some sort of situation that is um, maybe I'm just like foggy. I'm not able to see this the correct way. Are you in transference? Are you in not self? Like, are there's multiple situations or things that maybe you're just not seeing it clearly or from the right perspective because you haven't given yourself the chance to do so. So, the second one is from the Work Your Light deck. Shuffle that real quick. All right. Oh, here's another one about not overthinking it. Is that the right way when you read it? Or is it backwards? Is it? It's not backwards? Okay. It says you're
Not
already.
backwards.
It's not. You're okay. It is on my screen, but I wasn't sure how you would see it. Okay. It says you're already doing it. Stop overthinking and keep facing your true north. So let's just move on from the moon and being under the illusion and move on to reminding yourself that you're already doing it whenever I find it in this book because nothing is in
Well, you can
alphabetical
only
order.
see, we only see 1% of what's actually really playing out.
That's true. Yeah.
So, according to Kabbalah. So, and I believe that's for me, that felt right when I heard that.
Yeah.
Because if you, I mean, if you think about it, like, think about really bad things that happen to you, for example, that if those things didn't happen to you, like other things that were actually really good wouldn't have happened to you because of those things. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time when the bad thing was happening, you're like, my life is over. But it actually is what led you to where you needed to go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There's like so much that's happening. I mean, we hear this all the time. It's happening for you and not to you. And, you know, I think that's a good thing to think about. Okay, so it says, do not question things so much. You are on the right track. You're facing the right way. Stop overthinking it. It's happening, and you are closer than you think. You are exactly where you need to be, and things are moving at the perfect speed. Do not rush it. Now is not the time to be impatient. Now is the time to walk steady. There is no rush. What you are building is being built. What you have planted soon will blossom. With every new day, a brick is being laid, and you have come a long way. The foundations are steady. Now all that you need is for you to trust and to keep walking forward. If a thought that things should be moving faster enters your head, that is just your ego comparing your rising to someone else. Comparison is not your friend. Stay in your lane, water your own garden, and knowing that your time to bloom will come soon.
I just told myself that today.
Yeah.
I literally,
Confirmation.
I literally had that conversation with myself because I looked at something and I'm just like, I'm not there though. And like, or like not even,
Mm,
like not, I'm like, I'm not even close.
mm-hmm.
And then I was like, hold on a second. I
Yeah.
was like, you're now, because I usually recognize this relatively quick for me, and then I shut it down
Yeah.
immediately when because it there's no way to not look at other people and not have like somewhat. I mean, maybe there's people out there that don't do this at all. I mean, I just don't. I tend to not go there. I don't go deep with it because
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pointless. Like I'm power view. I do recognize the people that are on top, but I do know that I'm working my way up there too.
Yeah.
And I'm already on the top of where I need to be anyways,
Right.
like, and who's just like, I believe we're all on top, and it's the illusion that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
None of this is not real, that someone's of higher standard of you. Like, who's to say that any human is better than who any other human is?
Right. Exactly.
So,
Just things to noodle on, everyone.
yeah. Yeah. That's what we do. We give you something to think about. and then just work and then just experiment with it. Nothing is right or wrong. It just is. And see if it's correct for you. And if it's not, great. If it is, fucking fantastic. And then use it. If you see something that's working consistently for you, or if you guys like to come back here every week and listen to this to just hear the energy of the week, because it kind of prepares you. I know there's a lot of first lines that listen to this. And it's just, for me, it's nice to just have the understanding of like the energy for the week without being, I just don't get fully attached to like every single day or detail, because I do like to have a little bit of mystery. That I think that's nice that I have an open head, and I'll forget half the things I say to you guys until I come back, the pattern comes in again. And I'm like, wait, what was that? And then I was, oh yeah, okay. We got this happening. That's right. But I don't know. Play with it. Experiment. That's what all this is here for you to experiment with. And also, if you need a little bit more help with your experimentation, or you just want support, whatever it is, we're here for you. We have the doorway open right now. We had a lot of members join us. And then we also have a support group where we all just gather together and we talk about our designs and what's going on. We have weekly contemplation questions for you to noodle on throughout the week. And then we do 2 Zoom calls a month where we meet and we pick topics and we discuss. And we also have our classes. So, we're here for you if you need us. Definitely all the first lines. If you love reading comments, or even if you're not a first line, maybe you have a lot of first lines scattered throughout your chart, or you're like fear motivation. If you're fear motivation, you might really enjoy that as well. So yeah, let us know if you are. Human Design Astro Club on Instagram is our new handle for both of us together. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess this is goodbye. And we will see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Crystal and I are really here as defined hearts to provide value to you with our unique insights. If you have found any of this episode valuable to you, we ask that you share with a friend, tag us with a highlight on Instagram, and write us a review so we can reach more people. Human design and astrology are tools to guide us toward our transformation. You are a unique and beautiful being, and we encourage you to let that light inside of you shine bright. See you in the next episode, friends.